voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, fuck you. It's not gonna happen. Go, Kamala. I chose family. I chose women. I chose America. I love you. How the fuck is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this. Done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
We are not done. We are not done. This is not exactly what's going to be happening in the next few days or months. We're actually going to be reorganizing, and we're going to be rebuilding, and we're going to be educating, and we're going to go at it with a different perspective. Who's talking here? My name is Raul Morris. I voted for Trump. And today, I actually think it was a sweet and sour. I don't want to call it a mistake because there's a lot of wonderful things that are happening with the Trump movement. Behind the idea of voting for Trump was to break with what is traditional, what everyone believes to be the way to go. Like you're either Democratic or you're either Republican, and you vote for whoever they impose on you. But voting for Trump, I think the majority of us, let me speak for myself, I think was a way to be revolutionary. So voting for Trump was actually voting against the system because I thought that this lady was absolutely not ready for anything. And I absolutely did everything in my power to make sure that it was known that she was not ready to be the president. And you know what? She wasn't. So today, that's a good thing. We see that things like this are happening, and that is where I broke off with Mr. Trump. The bombing of Iran. I think that was the stupidest mistake of his presidency. I think that broke the base. And whether you want to call it MAGA or revolutionary people who are voting for something that wasn't part of the establishment, we wanted to drain the swamp, and do something in favor of the Constitution, the rights. Remember all of the stuff that was happening under Biden. We were losing our rights. The whole social media, everyone was being persecuted for having different opinions. That is not America. Absolutely not America. And this person was part of that government, part of the Netanyahu killing of the babies, part of the operation to little kids and changing their, that whole shit was just so disgusting that the how to use social media to persecute people, all of these things, there was a lot of reasons to vote for Trump. And I think that one of the best and most positive things that has happened with the Trump presidency needs to be said, Robert Kennedy. So a lot of the stuff that we're seeing now coming out of like this autism, 1,000% that the CDC knew about, and then the kids that are 1 in 39 kids that are autistic. I'm an uncle, I am a brother, I am, they're autistic kids all over the place now, and sadly enough, this could have been avoided. Just the fact that this is being talked about is a very big deal. So one of the things that I want to make sure that people understand is that this Voto Boricua con Zohran Mamdani and New York City is actually one of those things that you can't pass on. I think that this is going to be something that will reboot as voting for Trump did. I mean, you can talk a lot of shit about why not to vote. Why is it that voting for Trump was a big mistake? A lot of people can go with that, and the same thing with the young people who are on this video right here that you're about to see. Young kids.
Go ahead. How did we get here? How did we get here?
Received the news.
What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
With
All I can say is how fucking dare you? If you voted for that man,
So those are the people I want to talk to right now, and the people who are listening to this all over the world, and we know this is happening. There's a lot of rethinking of strategies. We're playing a chess game here. What does that mean? We're playing a political chess game, a chess board, and we're trying to make sure that while we're playing, we're doing the right thing with our bishop, with our rook, with our king, with our queen, with our pawns. We're moving, being strategic, because you don't always sacrifice a queen. You don't always sacrifice a bishop. You don't sacrifice a rook. You don't sacrifice a knight. You play to be able to eventually win the game. So the idea of having someone like Mr. Mamdani in a city like New York, it's a great chess piece. It's the kind of strategy that will eventually become part of the winning board. And I think this is something that's also going to question a lot of the laws and the constitutional rights that we have been taken for granted, that all of a sudden became like a second nature. You know, ever since 9/11, and we got to go to 9/11. We can go back even further, but 9/11 was when they created this Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act is basically has been unquestioned. So many of our rights were have disappeared because of this Patriot Act, and ever since then, this varmint criminal that should be in jail, Netanyahu individual, has pretty much brought with the agencies that are controlled or infiltrated or occupied or in even the Senate, even the House Representatives. I mean, all of these places that this individual has been able to own. And this is why today we even question whether killing babies is the right thing to do. And you know, I know that the majority of the people, even before the elections, I was talking about 60-70% of the people were just totally against this killing of the babies thing. I think it's more like 99% of the people. And those 2 or 3 people that may differ when you're talking about these census and these statistics are sick people. So part of the conversations that we're going to be having during the next few weeks is about why we should be voting for Mr. Mamdani, and whether or not it's important enough to change the outcome of the midterm elections and the outcome of the general elections. So why is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez here? And why is Netanyahu here? And why is President Trump here? All of these things are part of the chess game. That's our queen right there. Well, that's our king queen right there, who can probably become the next Obama or even the next Trump. And what I mean by that is the person least likely to be able to be president of the United States. And we've seen that on and on in the last several decades. And then why we should be thinking about how this can actually be the draining of the swamp. I think the draining of the swamp did start. I think that the idea of Trump threatening this whole structure was there, and it's not, hasn't gone away. And being sabotaged by the Netanyahu clan and the people inside the government, and how they destroyed the Trump presidency, and how there's no coming back, from this Iran attacks, and for the blindly sending money to Ukraine and sending money to Israel, all of this, so we have to play this game because the people actually have the power. So it's a matter of getting the information out there. And we have the tools like social media to be able to inform, educate, and use strategics to be able to change the outcome of the elections coming up now in November for the New York City mayoral race. And we have the tools to be able to influence the midterm elections, and as such, the tools to change the next election. So this is the shout out that we're making today, and we'll be working on for the next few weeks or even months when it comes to Voto Latino for Zohran Mamdani. We're going to make it short. That's a shout out. That's the first shout out. We're going to actually have a program talking about why love in voting for Mamdani strategically. I'm talking about why the difference of the U.S. versus the difference of most of the world on having, and being able to look beyond people's race. That's what the 60s was about. Think about it. If everything that is being talked about today existed in the 60s, in the 50s, we would never have had a Martin Luther King. We would have never had a Malcolm X. We would never have had a Wu-Tang. We would never have had a Motown. We would never have had Prince. And I mean, because of all of these artists and all of these politicians and all of these activists function within the freedom of speech. So that's being put into question. Who are they? People like Netanyahu want to control how we see ourselves as Americans. So we can go beyond this thing called the cancel culture and convert that into the cancel of our political, social, constitutional rights culture, that kind of thing. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how much love is important in the next few months, when we're going to be talking about our Israeli brothers and our Muslim brothers and our Boricua brothers and our all of these other communities, and our LGBT community brothers and sisters and all of these other communities, because the preaching of the hate has worked for these people in places like Palestine, preaching to take away humanity, to be able to justify the killing of babies and women and old and all this other stuff, talking about they're not real humans. So we can just the same exact arguments that America overcame when it was talked about slavery, they overcame. That's why we can be in different places. That's why we can have these conversations. That's why we can participate. That's why Obama existed. All of these things are real. But bringing that argument and imposing that and having and talking about hate works for people like this sick individual. and the people who follow him. So we're going to be talking about why love is so important. These people need to be put in psychiatric wards and in jail for their actions. So we're going to come back in the next few hours and days with different conversations regarding why we need to reboot and vote for Voto, for Boricua, and Latino from Zohran Mamdani 2025. We hope that you enjoyed this, and we'll be back with you in a couple hours. Thank you very much.
Go ahead. How did we get here? How did we get here? What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now? All I can say is how fucking dare you? If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, fuck you.